Hello, I'm Doug McConnell. Join me as we explore the West along the open road. First, we'll take an unforgettable trip through the stunning landscapes of the American Southwest. We'll visit the Yosemite of the Southwest, Zion National Park, where we'll slip, slide, and rappel through its curvaceous canyons.
Spider-Man.
Then, we'll take a tour of one of America's engineering marvels, Hoover Dam.
Harvey, this is big. This is huge.
Next, we'll mosey through some of our favorite old Western towns. And finally, we'll take a ride with the creative cabbie, who is a true legend of the West.
I'd know exactly where I'm at.
This program is funded in part by
Pack a picnic, call a friend, and head for the open road. The best things in life are free and good for your health. Kaiser Permanente is a proud sponsor of Open Road with Doug McConnell. Kaiser Permanente, thrive.
additional funding provided by your East Bay Regional Parks, 100,000 acres, 1,100 miles of trails. And by Lake County, California, water sports, wine tasting. California's Lake County, where vacation memories are made.
This is magical Zion National Park in the southwestern corner of Utah. Zion and its surrounding landscape are known for their massive rock formations and expansive beauty, and also for their narrow and mysterious slot canyons. Water carves through canyons that most visitors only see from the outside.
Rope!
But today, with the aid of ropes, harnesses, and a couple of people who really know what they're doing, we're going to venture deep inside this amazing world.
We're going into some very narrow passageways where the walls will twist and turn. Sometimes they'll be 2-3 feet wide.
It's called canyoneering. It involves hiking, rappelling, climbing, and whatever else needs to be done to navigate through canyons that are otherwise inaccessible.
Is that something I can do even if I'm kind of a doofus at it?
Most certainly you can do it. This is an activity that is very easy for someone without any experience to.
Tamara Faust and Nick Wilkes are my guides. They're instructors with Zion Adventure Company, and they're taking me into the recesses of a place known as Water Canyon.
What we specialize in is training people to go into canyons on their own, so we're not going to be with them the next day. And even in some of these drops, you're going to be by yourself. So we might be 30 feet above you. You're really on your own, so you have to understand what to do. Otherwise, you'd be in trouble.
Our canyon journey starts with a dramatic 2-mile hike.
It'll get you in shape.
Sheer cliffs stare down at us as we climb and climb and climb and occasionally descend.
This is where it all begins. Things are going to narrow down.
Oh, this is so beautiful in here.
In the course of the 2 miles, we're gaining nearly 1,000 feet in elevation.
Well, I'm feeling the climb, but boy, what a view in here. Gee.
It's only going to get better.
The hike by itself would be a fabulous adventure, but for us, it's just a prelude. Before we can rappel, we have to take everything out of our packs and put on layers of warm clothing and what are called dry suits.
The water's about 45 degrees, air temperature's about 60, so we can get cold very fast if we get wet.
We get our harnesses set and prepare for our first descent.
We're going to thread the rope through our rappel ring.
For me, a journey into the unknown.
Rope! And I'm going down there, huh?
You're going down there.
Maybe not quite that fast.
Hopefully not that
Hopefully not.
fast.
While Tamara heads down a different rope, Nick makes sure I get hooked in properly.
So when you're ready, Doug, you're just going to yell, on rope, and you can start heading down.
On rope!
You don't want those feet to get too high.
The rappel down is absolutely exhilarating.
Oh man, this is like going down a world's greatest water slide. Woohoo! Woo, man, this is great.
At the bottom, Tamara welcomes me to Water Canyon's inner sanctum.
What a wonderful.
According to Nick, every time he comes down here, it's different.
Just last week, this place we're standing in right here was a 15-foot deep pool.
15 feet.
15 feet.
And we're standing on sand.
And now we're standing on sand.
It's filled
so
up with that much sand?
that much sand.
The changes can happen quickly and can be very dangerous.
15 minutes of downpour in this canyon could create a flash flood where the water would rise 3 or 4 feet in 90 seconds.
Okay, so here we are. We get to look around, but Tamara's already tossing some more ropes over the edge, so we got a ways to go.
We got a ways to go. So go on down to Rappel 2. We're gonna be in a totally different bowl, a lot brighter, a little more friendly, but equally interesting.
Oh my God, Spider-Man.
This rappel brings us to a much larger space, but the only way out is through a very narrow slot canyon.
I can imagine this almost being full of water.
It gets pretty high when the floods come through here.
Even without a flood, it can be quite slippery.
Whoa.
The water has been carving out this canyon for eons. It's a work in progress.
Many people say that in a couple million years, this will be the Grand Canyon, you know, thousands of feet deep.
Yep, I got it.
We have to negotiate a tricky section of rock.
Right here, right here, right here. Good.
Missed it. Okay.
Nice.
Woo!
Put my foot around the corner. Pull.
And then maneuver under a boulder
I'm on a ledge.
and into a pool.
Work my way down. I'm in. All right. Drop that foot down.
I'm not nearly as smooth as Nick as I cautiously inch my way down, but it turns out to be much less complicated than I think it'll be.
Oh! not glamorous, but we're here.
With the hiking, rappelling, rock climbing, and now swimming, canyoneering is almost a pentathlon of outdoor activities. And now it's time for the final event, a 105-foot rappel that goes underneath a waterfall.
Everything that we've done so far today has been building up to this. It's 3 times as long as anything you've done so far. And some of the situations you're going to find yourself in are different than we've seen already. You're going to be hanging away from the wall, doing what we call a free rappel, about the last 45 feet.
You've seen people do this before?
Many.
Oh, all
many.
right.
Thanks to Nick's and Tamara's expert instruction, I feel perfectly secure, and so I can relax and enjoy the experience. And enjoy it I do. This whole day has been amazing. We've gotten up close and personal to really explore the intricate workings of one of nature's remarkable creations. And we've had a heck of a good time, all the while. I've always had a good time in and around Zion National Park, and I've always been inspired by its grandeur and its intimacy. Well, stay with us as we continue our adventures in the magnificent desert Southwest as we take a behind-the-scenes tour of the immense Hoover Dam near Las Vegas. A little later, we'll visit some of our favorite old western towns, and then we'll introduce you to a true cab-driving legend of the West. But right now it's time for our weekly geography quiz. Where in the West are we? Okay, here's this week's first clue. This West Coast city is the home of the very first Motel 6. We'll have a couple of other clues a bit later on, then we'll tell you the answer at the end of the show. But right now it's time to head back to the Southwest, to the Arizona-Nevada border, and to one of America's engineering wonders. Take a stroll down the Las Vegas Strip and you'll pass by impressive recreations of some of the Earth's most famous structures. But head south of the Strip a few miles and you'll see the real McCoy, one of the actual engineering wonders of the world. This is Hoover Dam, named for President Herbert Hoover.
Harvey, this is big. This is huge.
Of monumental proportions, the dam changed the course of modern engineering and the mighty Colorado River.
But in essence, right here, this is the Colorado River right above us.
River water right above us.
Hoover Dam created the nation's largest man-made lake, completed an interstate highway, and connected 2 states.
This is the Nevada side.
And that's Arizona over there.
You have 2 time zones on this dam.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It was, for its time, a seemingly impossible project.
This was done with a slide rule and the old plumb bob and pick and shovel.
Just a lot of hard work.
Just hard work and brute strength.
Built between 1931 and 1935, primarily for flood control, Hoover Dam stands over 700 feet tall, weighs more than 6 million tons, and contains enough concrete to pave a highway from San Francisco to New York.
Kind of makes you feel a little insignificant.
Hoover Dam's significance is not lost on Harvey Boyce. His family's worked here for 3 generations.
My grandmother was here. She was a kind of a dorm mother for some of the workers at the camp. My step-grandfather was a master electrician down here. And
then your father worked here.
And then my dad worked here after World War II. So.
And you're here now.
And I'm here now.
Harvey has worked around the dam on and off since he was a kid. These days, he's a public utilities specialist here. He doesn't normally give tours, but offered to show us around, starting high above the river on the observation deck.
Makes me a little queasy looking over the edge out here. How far down is that?
Well, that's roughly 1,000 feet down to the water's edge from here.
Harvey knows every nook and cranny of this dam and how it all works.
The dam itself sits in a keyway cut into the canyon wall, and it moves forward and back and side to side. As the water raises in the lake and puts pressure on the back of the dam, it pushes the dam further and spreads it out into the canyon wall, making a tighter and tighter fit.
According to Harvey, the concrete bends because it's not yet dry.
Concrete, when it cures quickly, becomes brittle. This concrete is still curing. We figure it'll take about 2,000 years before it's hard.
Over 4 million cubic yards of concrete were used to build the dam, 1 bucket at a time.
Hard labor in the hot sun.
Hard labor with a pick and a headache bar and a jackhammer.
You admire those guys.
Oh, it's incredible to imagine what they've had to go through.
Their tools were primitive. They shoveled dirt, jackhammered rock, set dynamite high above the canyon floor. It was exhausting, dangerous, and often indescribably hot work.
In June, July, August, down in that canyon bottom area probably is upwards of 125, 130 degrees temperature on a good hot day.
Most workers would go to any lengths to beat the heat.
So the workers would go and they'd go to the local movie theater, the old Boulder City Theater, and they'd all be sitting there sound asleep because it was the only place in Boulder City that had air conditioning. This is a brass door.
Another way to keep cool, head into the dam itself.
Well, here we are at the bottom.
Down in the hard hats on, we're ready to go.
Hard hats on, we're down in the bowels of the dam.
How far down are we at this point?
This side up here, there's water.
There's water here.
Water up this side.
Ooh, it's cool on that
It's
side.
very cool. It's nice down here during the summer.
Harvey takes me to see the inner workings of the dam. Through this tunnel where generations of workers have walked. Past generators where turbines transform water power into electrical power. And into a dark cave filled with stories and something else.
Harvey, then the Colorado River is right inside this penstock up above me here.
That's right.
Inside this enormous pipe, the Colorado River rushes by, bent by the hands of humans from its original route decades ago.
All of this was excavated The pipes were brought down a section at a time by cable, and then they were winched all the way up to the intake towers.
As the Colorado was shunted away from its ancient course, and as many more dams were built across the American West, Hoover Dam became a controversial symbol of environmental manipulation. Now millions of us every year come to consider its legacy and try to grasp its scale, trying to imagine how it all got done.
You know what? It seems impossible.
Seems impossible, and it's amazing that the people have the fortitude to do it.
Well, the Southwest truly is one of the most beautiful and fascinating regions in North America, and anywhere else in the world for that matter. If you'd like to know more about exploring the Southwest and efforts to preserve and protect its natural, historic, and cultural treasures for generations to come, we'll tell you how to find out more a little bit later on in the show. But right now it's time for the second clue in this week's geography quiz. Where in the West are we? Okay, remember now, clue number 1 was, this West Coast city is the home of the very first Motel 6. Now here's clue number 2, and this really cracks me up. The Egg McMuffin was invented at a McDonald's in this West Coast city in 1972. We'll have one more clue, then the answer at the end of the show, but right now it's time to leave the Southwest and visit some of our favorite old Western towns, some of the best of the West. Well, that's the eastern crest of the Sierra Nevada out there, about 20 miles away, and right below me, right down there, is what remains of a town called Bodie. Well, these days, it's a state park, but once upon a time, more than a century ago, it was the 3rd largest city in the state of California.
You know, actually, Bodie had 3 claims to fame in its heyday. The best water, the worst weather out of doors, and the wickedest men.
In the 1870s, gold was discovered in Bodie, and the rush was on.
Stages would come rolling in with people, and the stages would leave rolling out with gold. There were, at the heyday, about 65 saloons in Bodie.
65 saloons
Yes.
in this town?
Yes.
Around 1880, Bodie had perhaps as many as 10,000 residents. Today, only a handful of park employees live here, including Jill Lackman, and she only stays during the warmer months. So Jill, if you had lived in Bodie,
I don't think I would have made it in Bodie. I'm not tough enough. They were tough people back then. They withstood a lot of hardship just to get here. And we have it cushy now.
hardly anything was cushy in the Old West, and that goes for the very spot where gold was first discovered in California. Welcome to Coloma, the birthplace of modern California. Coloma is the place where on January 24th, 1848, James Marshall looked down and saw a little piece of gold that set off the huge gold rush to California. Within a couple of years, there were thousands of people here from San Francisco and around the world seeking their fortune. As miners rushed here to stake their claims, Coloma became a busy center of commerce. By 1850, its population swelled to 5,000. Maybe more.
I go straight forward and I pull back.
Today, visitors here can be exposed to gold fever at the Marshall Gold Discovery State Historic Park.
Okay, let's head on, guys.
They can see what some of Coloma looked like during the gold rush, from the supply shops to the mining equipment to the old jail. There are areas for families to play and picnic, and on a hill above the park stands a monument to James Marshall himself. A replica of his cabin rests just below. While Coloma rests on the banks of the American River in the Sierra Nevada, another Old West town is literally sinking into San Francisco Bay. This is Drawbridge in the southern reaches of the bay. These days, Drawbridge is slowly settling into the bay's marshlands. Its weathered old buildings, lonely reminders of a time when hundreds of people lived here or came on weekends to enjoy hunting, fishing, and swimming in the daytime, and less wholesome activities at night. Drawbridge flourished off the grid well into the Great Depression. No electricity, no plumbing, and not much law enforcement. Development around the bay eventually damaged the environment here. The water became polluted. Soon, fish, ducks, and the people who came for them began to disappear. The last resident left town in 1979. Drawbridge is now part of a national wildlife refuge and is completely off limits to the public, no exceptions. Its ghostly remains and bittersweet legacy are fading into memory, but it still has stories to tell, as does Coloma and Bodie too, some of the best of the West.
Well, the open road leads to all kinds of fascinating towns in the West, old and new, and we'll visit lots more in upcoming shows. But right now it's time for our third and our final clue in this week's geography quiz. Where in the West are we? Well, let's go over the clues one more time. First, clue number one is this West Coast city is the home of the very first Motel 6. Clue number two, McDonald's Egg McMuffin was invented in this West Coast city in 1972. And here's clue number three, this city is the home of California's first major movie studio. Well, we'll have the answer coming up, but now it's time to introduce you to somebody we call a legend of the West.
The world loves to visit San Francisco to appreciate its beauty, revel in its delights, and explore its hills and valleys and eclectic neighborhoods. Nobody knows the city's many streets and secrets better than Buzz Brooks.
I've often said that you could blindfold me and drop me into any place in the city, and within a couple minutes, I'd know exactly where I'm at.
Buzz Brooks has been driving a DeSoto cab in and around San Francisco for a quarter century.
You feel like you own it, and there's no neighborhood that intimidates you.
Oh, look at that, you're dodging, look at that. Those guys are stuck there, we're going down here.
Yeah.
Today, we're hopping in Buzz's cab for a tour around San Francisco, visiting some of his favorite spots.
Okay, now where are we gonna go, Buzz? Where are we headed?
A place that I noticed on the map that looks suspiciously like an oval sort of thing, like it might have been a racetrack at one time, and we did a little research, and sure enough, turns out that it is a racetrack.
It's called Ingleside Terraces, a quiet neighborhood off Ocean Avenue. We head to Urbano Drive, a mile-long loop.
I don't think I've ever actually driven around the thing.
You've driven the racetrack?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I'll do some laps. They're off, and here we go.
Coming down the backside there.
Coming back in the stretch, they're in the stretch.
The track's history stretches back to 1895. For 10 years, it was a popular spot for both horse racing and car racing. After the track closed, a developer started building houses without disturbing the track's original shape. Nowadays, you'll find hundreds of homes on and around the track, which people like to circle on foot or by bicycle. You'll also find a giant sundial built to draw attention to the housing development when it opened in 1913.
Well, what's kind of interesting is to have a sundial in one of the foggiest places in the whole Bay Area.
For example, what time is it now?
In fact, it's time to move on, so we head west. Sloat Avenue brings us to the Pacific. A short drive north on the Great Highway takes us to the city's western edge and a popular destination for many folks who ride in Buzz's cab.
The Cliff House would be a big destination, I bet, for tourists who come here and say,
Yeah, oh yeah, they have a great time out here.
You'll have a good time no matter where you go with Buzz Brooks in San Francisco, down its truly crookedest street, or to a dock on the bay. He loves to share his passion for a city he knows better than the back of his own hand. And he is a genuine legend of the West.
Salute.
Good driving.
All right.
Well, now it's time to reveal the answer to this week's geography quiz. Where in the West are we? Here are the clues one more time. This is a West Coast city now that is the home of the very first Motel 6. It is the place where McDonald's Egg McMuffin was invented. And finally, it is the site of California's first major movie studio. So where in the West are we? The answer is Santa Barbara, California. Well, that's our show. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm Doug McConnell. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time right here as we explore the West along the open road. For information about all the places we visited on this show and elsewhere in the West, and to find out about conservation efforts throughout the region, go to openroad.tv.
This program was funded in part by
Pack a picnic, call a friend, and head for the open road. The best things in life are free and good for your health. Kaiser Permanente is a proud sponsor of Open Road with Doug McConnell. Kaiser Permanente. Thrive.
Additional funding provided by your East Bay Regional Parks, 100,000 acres, 1,100 miles of trails. And by Lake County, California, water sports, wine tasting. California's Lake County, where vacation memories are made.